Welcome to another edition of Len's Burning Bush. I am Len Harvey. Before I bring on my guest for the week, I want to talk about what's really burning my bush. It's that time of the year again. Yes, orange barrel season. It seems like the season that never ends. There are actually, I think, more barrels than actual roads. I am convinced of this. I also think if they let the roads alone, we might even survive. But that's what I think. I also think of the scene from The Wedding Singer where he just says, they were cones. They were cones. So I finally got back to traveling a bit this week. I drove up to Michigan and I covered a bunch of states, Kentucky, Ohio, Indiana, and Michigan in that stretch. And I think that each state plays with the minds of all the drivers by seeing how they can take a pleasurable experience like a nice drive and make you want to take your eye out with a pickaxe. Plus, it seems like they have a little bit of ADD. You know, can we finish one project before we start another? There should be a mandatory rule that says one project at a time, because we all know it never, ever will get done because most roads and areas are forever under construction. And even when any project does seem done, you drive on it, and it's like Kramer, right? It's new, it's luxurious, and then you realize it just causes more traffic. So I know this will never be fixed. But it seems like when you're driving and you get into a little bit of a groove, maybe you're listening to some good music, you got everything good, and then all of a sudden you see the dreaded road work ahead sign. And then the rumble strips, dividers, you got uneven lines. You got small areas that you have to go through. It's ridiculous. It's like putting 10 pounds of crap into a 5-pound bag. That is, just make it stop. And let's face it, the cicadas just left us. And when they come back in 17 years from now, they will still be working on I-75. For the love of God, make it stop. With that being said, it's time to bring on my guest for the week, making his second appearance on Len's Burning Bush, former newsman extraordinaire who gave it all up to mold the minds of young people, which again is very noble. Let's welcome fellow MOF, and great friend, Mr. Bryan Pitts, who is actually in person to Len's Burning Bush, the first one ever.
I know, this is a big honor.
Well, you know, it is an honor. I give it to you. And here, you know, we are sitting around, and we won't say what we're doing, but we're having a little bit of a cocktail.
Certainly, yeah.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
It is 5 o'clock somewhere. And I guess, I got the honor because I was available, right?
Yeah, you're the only one that, and you're cheap. So it works out. It works out.
And by the way, when the cicadas do come back, and the construction's still going on, they'll still be landing on the same Brent Spence Bridge.
Yes.
I think so.
Yeah, the one that we're supposed to get tolls to replace and all this stuff, and nobody wants it. It's like, leave everything alone. Shut all the construction down. And I don't want to do this because there's workers involved. And
sure.
But I just don't understand every single state and my area around here, they've screwed it up so badly. There's now.
I came through that on the way. Yeah.
See, in New Jersey, it's different. They've got they move you over to the right to make the left, and you do all that stuff. And in Michigan, they've got the right to make the left and all that kind of stuff. And in England, they have all these roundabouts, is what they call them, right?
Yes.
And they think that roundabouts is a good thing. And personally, we got away from England in 1776 for a reason.
So we didn't have to go around roundabouts.
Yeah. And now all of a sudden people think it's a good idea. And no one knows how to go around it. They don't know, do I yield? What is a yield? Do I stop?
Right.
Yeah. I just think it makes the driving experience just awful.
No, it really does. We came back from St. Louis this past week, went on a trip over there for a few days, and went through a stretch of construction. I'm not exaggerating. That was 14 miles long. 14 miles. They can't work on 14 miles all at once.
No.
And then when we got off of the interstate, 15 minutes I sat to go probably a half a mile because of it. So I'm 100% on board with you.
Yeah, it's crazy, and I think the bottom line is that it's just an annoyance. They do it purposely to screw with you. I really do. I think at some point they just say, you know what? Hey, you've been in the house. What I don't understand in this, again, going back to the pandemic, I'm going to go back there. Why wasn't all the construction done when no one was outside?
That's a very good question. Yeah.
I don't get it. It's just so they love to do it. It's like they love to piss you off. Because here's the deal: they're working anyway. You're passing by. You're on their time.
Right.
They don't give a crap that you're stuck in traffic.
No
one cares.
No.
And I think they need to care.
I think they do too. And you're right. It's not the workers. It's the powers that be, and they don't. They don't care.
And what amazes me, and this is the construction business in general, especially with states, or cities or whatever, government in general, they go with the lowest bid.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So what is usually the lowest bid? The least
quality. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, let me tell you something. You mentioned me leaving radio and going into education. I've seen that firsthand. How with the government stuff, you have to take the lowest bid, and a lot of times it comes back around and it bites you because you get people there. They'll undercut everything, and then they do come in and do a shoddy job, and
you're stuck.
Yeah.
Oh, only in America. As
yes.
They say. Only in America. Well. Speaking of construction jobs and paying off and mafia bosses, we've got stuff to talk about, right? We've got plenty of stuff. We've got a new movie coming out, The Many Saints of Newark, which is a prequel to The Sopranos. And let me just say one thing, as you know, as a huge fan of The Sopranos,
yes,
I'm a little disappointed in Mr. David Chase.
Really?
Because here's what I'm disappointed at. Not that I don't love the movie, and I think it's going to be terrific, and I can't wait to see it.
Right.
But what am I going to do after the hour and 40-minute movie? I wanted a series. I wanted a little, how they did Better Call Saul after Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
I wanted a prequel to The Sopranos. You've got the situation now where you've got a Gandolfini playing the role. This is perfect. Why are we just getting a little taste? I want more.
I don't know.
More.
That is a good point. That is a good point. And I mean, they could have even spun it off, I think, as not being a prequel series, but something. But then they would have had to have addressed the the big question at the end of the series: is did Tony get it or did he not? So I think that's probably why you're not going to see anything that's going to follow the series. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to the movie. Some of the casting choices I think are a little questionable, but have you had a chance to watch the trailer?
Yes,
with Michael Gandolfini.
Yeah, he looks terrific.
He looks like him. He sounds like him. I think it is going to be very cool seeing him in the role. And that the main storyline is going to follow Dickie Moltisanti, which was Christopher's father, and all of the trouble that he got into. I think not a real good guy.
No, well,
and Ray Liotta, is going to have I think a relatively small role, but he's going to play a guy named I think called Hollywood Moltisanti, and he's like Christopher's grandfather. So he's Dickie Moltisanti's father, I think. So it's going to be very cool. It's going to be, for me, it's going to be really cool to see a lot of these characters like Paulie and Silvio played by different actors, when they were a little bit younger. So, well,
if you remember in the Godfather 2, they went ahead and went back and brought in, De Niro,
yes,
and obviously and several others that were tremendous in the role. But you mentioned Michael Gandolfini. He's going to play Tony Soprano. Alessandro Nivola is Dickie Moltisanti, Christopher Moltisanti's father. There's Leslie Odom Jr. in it. John Bernthal goes in as Johnny Boy Soprano. Corey Stoll is going to play Coronado Soprano Jr. Ray Liotta is in the movie. Vera Farmiga is going to be Livia. Vera Farmiga, I think it's how you pronounce her name. She's going to be Livia, which is kind of interesting. That she looks like, if you've seen her in the trailer, it looks great.
Yes, and she does a very good job of having that cold personality. Yeah.
You're dead to me kind of. Yeah, I like that. Right. I like that a lot. Billy Magnuson is going to play Paulie Walnuts, and John Magaro is going to play Silvio Dante. And I think, everybody looks pretty good in the movie. I just think it's fantastic. I'm excited for it, and I believe it's going to open up around October 1st as a scheduled release date. Anybody with HBO Max is going to be able to get it for at least a month. So if you're a subscriber to HBO Max, and it's going to be on in the movies as well, right?
Yeah, this is one that I'm going to want to see in the theater. It's like when The Irishman came out, and it was going to be on Netflix. We drove all the way up to Columbus to catch it in a theater. There's certain things. This is something that I hope that we can start getting back to normal with, and not move away from the movie theaters with all of the streaming services. But this, I think, is going to be one that I'm going to want to see this one on the big screen.
I agree. And like I said, I'm just, I always want more, and I'm like one of those guys, never satisfied. The show is going to be a prequel to Chase's drama, The Sopranos, and it's going to be set in the 60s and 70s in Newark, using the 1967 riots in the city as a backdrop for the tension between the Italian-American and the African-American communities, and it follows Tony Soprano in the middle of the violent gang. And New Line Cinema obtained the rights to produce The Many Saints of Newark, along with HBO Films, Warner Brothers, and they were originally going to have this September 25th of last year.
Yeah.
But because of COVID, it has to be pushed, and they pushed it again. So it's October 1st. I can't wait. I actually think I'm going to have a party, a Sopranos party, to watch the movie on the 1st. I'll have it here in the Harvey estate.
Very cool.
Yeah, we're gonna put it on. We'll put it on the big screen, and HBO Max, baby. You gotta. It's the new way. Nobody puts a DVD in anymore. I know you still have it.
I like to have the physical copy of things, but
I know I've got physical copies of a lot of things. I have moved over to the dark side a little bit. I do watch a lot of YouTube. Hell, this show is on YouTube also. So I try to give the people what they want. But I agree with you. There's certain things that we just have gone backwards. I was talking, before I get into other stuff where I wanted to get to with the mob stuff, I have to talk to you about something I was having a conversation with my father-in-law about. And this is driving me crazy. It is the lack of availability of products when you go into a store.
Yeah.
Okay, so here, and the first answer to every salesperson that says they don't have something is, well, you can go online. I could go online. If I could do that, what do I need you for?
Exactly.
Do you understand that?
Yeah, that's not a good answer.
No, I came into the store. So I have been in, just so you know, at 52, 53, I decided it was a good idea to start taking up motorcycles. So we've got a couple of motorcycles in the garage. We've gone through a few. We've made some mistakes. We've back and forth. And I found a bike. There's a Royal Enfield new bike that's a smaller bike that I like. And I finally said, you know what, I'm going to bite the bullet. Okay? And I'm going to get it. So I texted the salesperson. They had one available. And, of course, they sold it right from, so I missed out. But they said they were going to order a few more. And they were going to let me know. Mm-hmm. So they ordered a few more. I put a deposit down. And that was on June 18th. Now, you know me. I have no patience whatsoever.
Right.
So the patience factor is huge with me. Mm-hmm. I don't have it. I don't want to have it. By the time I get it, I'm angry already. I want it now. Daddy, I want an Oompa Loompa now.
Now.
I really hate the fact that I have to wait for this, and I understand. But everything I'm so sick of hearing because of COVID and whatever, the shipping, get stuff here.
Yeah.
Stop it already. Because
I
I feel like we're moving backwards.
Yes.
I told the story in 1985, long time ago, well before, that was the year Back to the Future came out. But in 1985, I remember this day, April the 1st, and it was the day that Villanova beat Georgetown in the NCAA final. And that night, I went and purchased my first VCR. You remember the VCRs?
Oh, okay. Of course.
All right. Yeah. Well, the VCRs, for those of you that don't know, had the tape player, for those people that are listening that don't understand that. So it had a little, it was a Fisher VCR. Mm-hmm. I went to a store and I actually bought it and took it home.
Yeah.
Okay? What a concept.
Right.
30 plus years later, I can't get crap for anything. I have to order it, and then maybe it'll come. And the other thing that aggravates the crap out of me is the lack of response or let me know. Hey, nothing's going on. Maybe it's coming in a week. Maybe it's not coming. Maybe it's going to be delayed. I had that problem with the car I ordered. It's like, why can't we go back? So what I think is going to happen, and Amazon has been trying, okay, they have created this monster also where everybody orders everything online.
Oh, yeah.
But here's my problem. Let's say Saturday is my day, my podcast day. Mm-hmm. Let's say my router goes out. God forbid, toy, because that's the new thing now, where you've got, where you lose internet, you're screwed.
Right,
Okay.
yeah.
So let's say that the internet is down. Okay. How do I fix that if I don't have a store to go to? I got to order it online. You think I'm going to wait till Tuesday to get the internet back?
No.
So are we going backwards, or is it just me?
No, I think you're right. And it's just like you mentioned with the roads, they don't care. And, with some of these companies and everything being online, nobody has to see you face to face. They don't have to answer your questions face to face. And if you get mad and don't want to do business with them, they're too big. They don't care.
No, nobody cares. And I think the problem I have is I want it now. I like to touch it. I like to go to the store. I like to get it. So my son got excited. He found a store around here. It was a kind of inexpensive store. I won't call it a cheap store. It's an inexpensive store.
Sure.
And you can get all kinds of stuff kind of cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
And he comes home and he's bringing all the stuff he got that day. Now, can we just go back to that?
Yeah.
Where we can actually open up the stuff that we get instead of every other day there's a package coming.
Yeah.
I'm done with the package.
I told my wife we're going to have to get a baler to put in our garage for the boxes that are on the porch every single day.
And it's ridiculous. The one thing I would like to have, the groceries just to come. And the key with the groceries that pisses me off, I don't know if it's the same as you, but it's not the actual shopping, but it's the loading it into the cart, unloading it off the cart onto the belt, putting it back in the damn cart, then taking the cart out, putting the groceries in the car, and then when you get home, what do you got to do? You got to put the damn thing away.
Yeah.
The way I would want to sell a service, I think we should start this.
Okay. All
is we will deliver the groceries to you.
Okay.
We will also put it away. Let us know where you want it. We'll put it away because I think that's the biggest pain in the neck of anything.
I agree. And just to show how miserable I am, I even despise having to go and sit at the one that Kroger has where you pull up and they bring it out to your car. Even that aggravates me.
I tried that in the beginning. I tried the Kroger, and Meijer has also, they've got their own thing. And half the time, you get a text that they're going to be doing your order.
Right.
You sit there in the parking lot, you wait like you're sitting there waiting waiting for this to come. They come and they keep texting you. We're out of this one. Can we replace it with, I go, no, I don't want it replaced. Where's my Snapple? Right?
Right?
You know what I'm saying? This is what I want. I can never get what I want anymore.
Right.
It used to be you go to the store, you could bring it home.
Yes.
You get everything you want. Now, everybody's out of stock, and they all make excuses. Nobody's working anymore. They're offering $12, $15, $20 an hour. Nobody wants to work.
You go into a restaurant, and half of it's closed off, but it's going to be a 2-hour wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
I don't like to wait. But as you know, we had to wait for The Sopranos. We're waiting for the prequel.
Yes.
And the question that I have, and I wanted to ask you this, I actually looked it up in an article. But I wanted to get your opinion of it on why, getting back to The Sopranos, why we love gangsters so much. There's an article written by Bruce Chadwick in HistoryNewsNetwork.org. He is a lecturer in Rutgers University, also teaches at New Jersey City University, and he has a PhD. So he does know a little bit about this stuff, but explain to me, before I get into what he said, let me hear what you think.
I actually have a theory on this.
I like that.
Two of the most, if you think about it, two of the most romanticized genres that we have are pirates and gangsters, right?
Arg.
Yeah, exactly. Now, in truth, neither one of them were probably a really good life to live, but I think that the reason that our society romanticizes these two things is because this, if you think about it, this country was founded on the whole concept of independence, individualism, and those two lifestyles are sort of the ultimate examples of that. I don't know if this what this guy is theorizing, but I've actually thought about this before because pirates, it was sort of the ultimate, go take a hike to the king. And, the gangsters, same thing here in America. Of course, everything started off with, the modern-day Robin Hoods with John Dillinger and those type of guys who people idolized because they were really sticking it to the banks back in the Depression. But I think a large part of it is sort of this desire for us to live this independent lifestyle. We don't like being told what to do, and I think it's really sort of the ultimate example of that.
I love it, and there's a lot of movies that are good in that, but the mob movie, according to Bruce, he says the mob movie has been a staple of American entertainment history since the silent movie film era. It flourished after the arrival of sound, and the public love for gangster boomed again in the late 40s with the film noir hoods like actor Richard Widmark, and crested with The Godfather in the 1970s. They're also seen with Bonnie and Clyde, Goodfellas, The Departed, Donnie Brasco, of course, The Sopranos. And what was interesting about The Sopranos, he had his lovable New Jersey crew, right? He had an understanding wife and troublesome kids. So, this is what we like. The screen or television gangster, somebody many Americans wish they could be. They're tough, they're resilient, they're fearless. But of course, we are not, and that's kind of why I think they like it. But they live in chaotic, violent world that in this. But it's a historic character. They got their start in the 1920s, and it's kind of interesting. But if you think about this, I wanted to bring up The Sopranos again because he talks about the fact that it cemented the role of the beloved gangster in American entertainment. The Sopranos did. There were two endings, of course, for Tony Soprano, and one of them was going to be going, to go off the air was either murder or prison, right? Those were the two. But the reason it didn't end that way, or at least we don't know how it ended, there was a New Jersey Star Ledger poll, and it said 80% of those queried begged the producer of The Sopranos to somehow let Tony live. Do you believe that? It's crazy how people...
Absolutely. Yeah.
We root for the...
Yes, absolutely. It's like the line in Goodfellas when he's talking about Jimmy Conway's character, and he said he was the kind of guy who rooted for the bad guy in the movies.
Yeah.
And that's us.
Well, it's funny you bring that up. I'll get to that in a second, but they talk about Tony being everybody's favorite uncle. He cared for his wife. He loved his kids. He helped his family, fought with his mother, his uncle. It was a normal, it almost seemed normal.
Right. Right.
I mean, as crazy as it is, it's kind of like Al Capone. He'd go murder somebody, but then he'd go to church on Sunday. Yeah. That was kind of the way The Sopranos was.
Right.
So what's interesting is, so your son wants to be a doctor, right, or an architect or a United States Senator. Your daughter wants to be an engineer. Just remember the first line in the mob movie Goodfellas. As far back as I could remember, I always wanted to be a gangster. To me, being a gangster was better than being the president of the United States. Is that really where we're at this moment? That is better?
Again, I think that it is. It's one of those lifestyles or genres that we've romanticized, and I think it's because we do want to be the gangster that we see on the screen. Not maybe the gangster that is, on the street in real life that's, going to prison and getting shot, but the gangster that we see with the riches and the, living outside of the rules, living by their own rules. I think, yeah.
Well, it's a tremendous thing because I love all mob movies. There's been so many good ones. There's a Studio Bender has come out with their favorite 13 modern Italian mob movies. And they rate them from 13 to 1. So I'm just going to read them here.
All right, let's see what we think about it.
13 is Black Souls. It was made in 2014. It's stories to the Southern Italian crime family. Luigi's a mafioso, wants to expand his criminal business. I did not see that.
No.
So that it's now, Black Souls, one of the best new mafia movies. So that is something maybe we should watch.
Take a look at.
Black Souls. I did not see that one. 12 is Bugsy. I didn't particularly care. I don't believe Warren Beatty as a gangster.
Yeah.
Warren Beatty's kind of, he was in Heaven Can Wait. I can believe that.
Right.
I don't believe Bugsy. It just doesn't do it.
Yeah,
for me.
it wasn't bad, but it wasn't good.
Right. 11 was The Road to Perdition.
Tom Hanks.
Yeah, Tom Hanks.
Pretty good movie, yeah.
Yeah. Not too bad. I did not see that one either.
It is a pretty good movie. You should give that one a watch.
Okay. This is British, number 10, Sexy Beast from 2000 with Sir Ben Kingsley. I'm out. I'm out.
Already.
I'm out. I like Ben Kingsley in certain things, but as a mob boss, he actually, Sir Ben Kingsley was either in Entourage. I'm trying to think of what show he was in whatever. Number 9 for Hong Kong was Election 1 and 2. So they put Hong Kong mobster movies from 2005 and 2007. I didn't see any of those either.
Nah, no.
Not interested. 8 is one of your favorites, or at least we liked it, The Irishman.
Oh, loved it. Absolutely.
I did too. I think a lot of people didn't like it because of a variety of reasons. It might have been too long. I could never get enough. It's never long enough for me.
Right.
So to me, The Irishman was a tremendous movie. Number 7 goes back to 1948. Another Japanese one from 1948. It's called Drunken Angel. Don't know that one. Number 6, Mafiosa from 1962, which is a comedy turned tragedy. That movie, did not see that one either. So a lot of them we did not see.
Yeah.
And number 5, Sonentine from 1993, did not see that one. Number 4, another Russian one, this time Eastern Promises. And then we'll get to number 3, which is Gomorrah from 2008. I did not see that one either. So a lot of these we did not see. And of course, number 2, one of my favorites of all time, Goodfellas.
Yes.
I think it's probably, to me, so I love The Godfather, and I love Godfather 2, which obviously is probably going to make, I don't have to look at the list to know what's number 1. But the problem I have with The Godfather, and I again, this is sacrilegious for me even saying it, Marlon Brando was a little over the top for me. I like the Tony Soprano. I like James Gandolfini playing, because I think it's more realistic. Do you know, though, in The Godfather, there was no cursing? And I could not believe that. Like, that was a movie that had no curse words at all.
Really?
Yeah. I learned that from Jerry Seinfeld, actually. He was interviewing with Howard Stern. He talked about it. There was no curse words. I didn't even think about that. But anyway, getting back to that, I thought James Caan was another one. Not a big,
Yeah.
I love him to death as a Jewish bubby, maybe, but as a, Italian mobster, he's not. I mean,
now, as much as I love The Godfather, and I think it is possibly the best movie ever made, I would still say Goodfellas is the best mob movie ever made, if that makes any sense.
No, it makes a lot of sense, and I think Godfather did win an Academy Award. It was a tremendous movie. It was way ahead of its time. Abe Vigoda was a great character in that.
Of course.
There's a lot of good characters, and I think 2 is good, if not better than 1.
Oh, yes.
Because I like the way they went back and they brought in, everything. Bruno Kirby.
Yes.
I like him in it. But yeah, so number 2 is Goodfellas, and I think it's as good a movie as you can probably make.
Yeah, I agree.
Right?
Yes.
Because you got so many good. I mean, you got Pesci, De Niro. You've got all of these people that are just so good, and so many good lines. Got to get the papers. Get the papers. It is quite. It's outstanding. Had it not been for all the curse words, they might have won something too. Yeah. But it's pretty. It's one of those things where
pretty laced. Yeah. Now let me ask you, where would you put Casino?
See,
in this picture?
I'm disappointed that it's not up there in the top 13 in this
At
list.
least, yeah.
I would say Casino is good. I would say it's not. I like Donnie Brasco too.
Yeah, Donnie Brasco was really good.
I like Donnie Brasco. I like Pacino in that role of Lefty. I would say that Casino was probably below Donnie Brasco. I like Brasco better.
Can I tell you what? To me, the one element of Casino that I think knocks it down a couple of notches on the list of the all-time best. It's not the actress. It's the character, but Sharon Stone's character in that movie is absolutely. And again, it's not her. I actually met a former mob guy who was on the set of Casino as a consultant, and he said she was a wonderful woman. So nothing against her, but the character is just intolerable. Every scene she's in, I want to fast forward through.
I agree, and I don't like, and the James Wood character too. I love James Wood. Same thing. I think you put them both together, it kind of dampers for the greatness of that movie.
Yeah.
De Niro was brilliant. Pesci was brilliant. I'm thinking of doing some stuff out in Vegas. I get my
You
friend
think about
over.
me coming
Hey,
out here?
you disrespect. You take your shoes off at a casino. You do that. You stupid. Yeah. I mean that it's a very good movie.
Yes.
I love Donnie Brasco. I love. You know what movie I really like too? That's not necessarily a mob movie, but it features a little bit of the mob stuff, and that's A Bronx Tale.
Oh,
I liked it.
absolutely.
I
Yeah,
like
love
that.
that.
But
Let
I
me
wouldn't.
tell you, that's the scene in the bar with the bikers.
Yes.
Is one of the best scenes in cinema history of all time.
I would agree.
And if I can make a recommendation to you, kind of going off of that,
Yeah.
because this movie has a scene that's very similar, is Kill the Irishman from 2011.
Okay.
Pretty unknown movie, but it's very good. Kind of low budget. It's about Danny Green, who was an Irish mobster in Cleveland back in the 70s and 80s, went to war with the Italian mob. And based on historical people, Christopher Walken was in it, Val Kilmer was in it, Vincent D'Onofrio, and Paul Sorvino has a cameo in it. But it's really a great movie. It's about this guy, he gets into the unions and kind of pushes his way into a top union spot and gets involved with the mafia, ends up going to war with the mafia. And if you look it up, there was a stretch of time there in Cleveland where there were dozens of these guys were using car bombings.
Wow.
Just blowing everything up. But yeah, Kill the Irishman. If you get a chance to watch that, again, it's a low budget. Some of the special effects are not real special, but yeah, I would actually put it probably in my top 10.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's very good.
Well, there's a lot of good movies out there that, and we love. I love watching the stuff on Lefty. They're not Lefty. What's his name from Bulger? From from Massachusetts.
Oh, Black Mass.
Yeah,
Have you seen that?
yeah.
That's another great movie. That's one that every time I watch it, it gets better.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're fascinated with it. We're fascinated with all this stuff. And again, as far back as because I remember, I wanted to be a gangster. We all have that. Imagine telling your parents, "Dad, what do I want to be when you grow up? You want to be an astronaut? You want to be?" No, I want to be a gangster. I like the fact that the guy goes ahead and gets his money one way or the other.
Yep.
Business is bad if you pay me.
That's right.
That's the way it works.
That's right.
It's such a good thing. I mean, we could talk about mob stuff all day. And what I love about our relationship is the fact that we're like, you're like a 70-year-old in a 40-year-old body because you just love all the old stuff. You love the Dean Martin, and we love all the stuff from the 50s. We're sitting here having a little bit of a cocktail in the morning. It's kind of the nice thing to do.
It is.
I think it's, again, everything in moderation, boys and girls, but I think that you just have to appreciate stuff and good movies, good stuff. And October 1st, can't wait. Sopranos, and I know you want to watch it in the theater, but I'm going to have it here at the house. So if you want to come over for a bada, I would think we can have stuff like at the Bada Bing. We can do a little stuff,
Not too much.
No. We don't want to have the situation where people taking clothes off. That could be a problem. We don't want to do that. But this is great. This is my first ever in person doing it. I normally do it FaceTime, but
honored to be here.
It's just terrific. I think it gets. You can like Len's Burning Bush on Facebook. It'd be nice if you did.
Have I not?
I don't know. I don't know if you did. I couldn't tell you. But at Len's Burning Bush is how you do that. You can follow at Len's Burning Bush on Twitter, YouTube channel Len Harvey. You can find that, and please subscribe. I think I only have about 9 subscribers. It's getting pretty bad. It's getting faint to where they might shut me off. I don't know. All right, I appreciate that. Because what I do is I take the audio from these episodes, and they're on YouTube. So please subscribe. What do they say? You got to hit the ding dong diddle. You got to hit the whatever.
Hit all the buttons except dislike.
Don't dislike. Please like the episode and do whatever you can on YouTube. But you listen on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play. If you came across this episode, I'm sorry, but I hope that maybe you'll stick around for another episode because I keep doing this. I bring on people. We've had Bryan. This is his second time on. The previous episode, he was, Dueling MOFs was the title, and that's what it is. We're just miserable old, fellas, and we just like to sit around and kibitz is the Yiddish word that I like to use, kibitz. But make sure you tune in, Podbean, iHeartRadio, tune in. You can even ask Alexa to play Lens Burning Bush, but make sure you say Lens Burning Bush podcast, because I don't know what's going to come up if you don't do that. We are in many states are listening. We had some downloads in the UK, Ireland, although it's been a little slow in the last couple of weeks. I think the summer months have.
Yeah,
You know, that's why television and radio kind of stopped for the summer.
That's right.
Because everybody's all busy. But Bryan Pitts, it is a pleasure to have you here in person at the Lens Burning Bush Bat Cave. I think is a good way to look at it, down in the basement. That's where they send us. They send us in the basement.
Yeah, well, but it's a cool basement, so there's really not much to complain about.
Exactly. Well, please like and subscribe and do all the things that you need to do. We'll be back. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back with another episode of Lens Burning Bush next week. And thanks to Bryan Pitts, and so long.